What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 294. And admittedly, we're covering a game simply because I saw someone post about it on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called now and literally said to myself, I remember that game. It just seemed to fit. It's Spy vs. Spy for practically every console from the 80s, but I remember it from the NES. It is a great fucking game, horribly underrated. It's based on the classic MAD Magazine comic, those two funky, what are they, like birds? I don't know what they are, but anyway, it's a PvP game, probably among the best PvP experience on the NES, in my opinion. I fucking love Spy vs. Spy. We never owned it growing up, but we used to rent it all the time. You could play against the computer. It really shines when you play it against another player, though. You're in various buildings, different sizes, and there's a few items that you need to find to win the game that are hidden in the rooms in the buildings. So you need to collect all those items in a briefcase and then get to the exit of the building and get on a plane first. But you can also lay traps around the building for the other player, and they'll trigger them while looking for the items to win the game. And if they die, they have to sit out for a bit. Anything they were carrying gets left where they died. So there's a lot of strategy to it. It's just genuinely a hella fun game. And screen watching was always a big part of the argument, but it wasn't as prevalent as it was in the GoldenEye era. It felt like it was kind of okay back then because we really didn't have any other choice. But screen watching in Spy vs. Spy could get to be a pretty ugly game. I fucking love Spy v Spy. I really do think this is among the cleverest games on the NES. It's one of my favorite multiplayer games from that generation. I'm kind of shocked by how many of you have actually played Spy vs. Spy, because I didn't think anyone played it back in the day. I thought it was one of those titles no one had heard of. That doesn't seem to be the case, so fucking A. I'm rolling solo this week. I don't mind that when it's an episode about a game I'm genuinely passionate about, and Spy vs. Spy fits that bill to a T. So I'll tell you all about this gem and the hours we wasted with it back in the day in just a minute, because speaking of a gem that you can waste hours of your life on, it's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. Dun, 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 dun! If you're new to the podcast, welcome aboard and consider this your warning. Our intros are long, but they're fun, and you're 37% less likely to be blown up listening to them than you are playing Spy vs. Spy. So if you do want to skip the intro, you just want Spy v Spy talk, go to about the 30-minute mark. I recommend hanging around and listening to the whole thing. We talk video games and stuff. It's fun. I do have to do my rigmarole here with my plugs. It's how we keep the bills on. Someone pointed out that keep the bills on is not the proper saying. That's how we do it here in my house, in my head. It works for me. So tickets for our Toronto show on June 28th are on sale now. As of this recording, there is literally one ticket left. It's a 140-seat theater. In about a week and a half, we sold the motherfucker out. We have one ticket, so if you've been thinking about coming by and checking out the show, I recommend not waiting. RememberTheGamePodcast.com. You can get that ticket. And also, don't forget, I will be at the Calgary Comic Expo this weekend, April 25th to the 28th, booth 703. I am leaving early Friday night for a comedy show, but I'll be there the rest of the weekend, so come by and say hi. And I'll be at GameCon Canada here in Edmonton, June 14th to 16th, if you want to swing by and see my stupid face over there as well. You can check out all of our merch at RememberTheGamePodcast.com. We have all kinds of stuff designed by my man Joe from 4545 Creative. I will actually have some of that merch up for sale at the Calgary Expo this weekend, so if you don't want to pay the stupid shipping fees to get it to Canada, come by and get it for the shipping cost of free. I mean, the shirts aren't free, but I won't charge you to hand it to you. Free shipping within the building, within my booth, because I don't want someone being like, bring it to the food court. Within my booth at the Calgary Con, you can get one of our shirts. And of course, if you're like, I don't like clothes, I get it. You can always support us on Patreon. It's about the greatest deal in the history of the world. $3 a month gets you additional podcasts every single week, ad-free. We actually offer up to 4 extra podcasts a week. Every Monday, Mark McHugh and I talk The Simpsons on Purple Monkey Dishwasher. Every Tuesday, I talk about whatever the fuck I want on The Rambling Idiot. I just reviewed AEW's Dynasty pay-per-view and talked about the art of rebooking a comedy show on this week's episode. It's good times. Friday, it's Game Patch, where I talk about all the biggest news in modern video games. And Thursday is Expansion Pass, which is a different gaming show each week. And this past week was Expansion Pass 208, and we decided to look back at the NES. We talked about our favorite memories, our favorite games. We literally talked about blowing in the cartridge. It was all there. The feedback has been out of this world positive. I'm glad so many of you enjoyed that nostalgic bump as much as I did. Fuck, I love the NES. And as is becoming tradition, here is a sneak peek of last week's episode of Expansion Pass, the NES. And then we got to rent them, and that made them so much sweeter, right? I'm sure some of you know what we're going to get to gaming rental. We've talked about rental games in the past, but nothing compares to renting an NES game for the weekend. Absolutely nothing. The nostalgia I have for this era, like what a great time. Getting up on a Saturday morning, having a giant bowl of like Frosted Flakes or Fruit Loops or something, and then just playing Nintendo. Watching cartoons or playing fucking NES. Just the best. Christmas morning with a new video game. Just the fucking magical. Renting a game for the weekend? I wish I could bottle that nostalgic feeling up and just sell it because I'd make a fortune. And to this day, I have to say too, back then there was no talk about graphics, frame rates, any of that. It was just like, hey, I got a new game. Do you want to come over and play it with me? And to this day, I still think the good-looking NES games hold up. I love 8-bit graphics. That's now available in our archives, and this week it's Expansion Pass 209. It is the final episode of the month, which means the topic was up to our Patreons, and Adam's top 3 games from every genre came out on top. So I'll work through a ton of different video game genres, let you know my personal favorites. There's some genres I don't talk about too often, so this could be a chance to show them a little bit of love. It's a box of chocolates of an episode, if you will. Should be a good time. So again, Patreon subscription start at $3 a month to get new shows every week, instant access to literally hundreds of archive bonus podcasts. They're all 100% ad-free. You can add them to pretty well any podcast service you want, including Spotify. Not only do you get extra podcasts, though, you can join our Remember the Game Discord. You get a chance to vote in our Patreon poll every month. You get the ability to submit comments to the show. You can DM with me, and you even get a shout-out and get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm certainly going to do to at least a couple of these people. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons, Rob Smith, Horndog B17, Jonathan Bezemek, Deseraith, Danny G, and Piggy Stardust 22. A couple of those were pretty, I'm sorry. I'm sure I made those pretty fucking ugly. I apologize. But thank you so much for the support and welcome to Remember the Game Industries. We're at patreon.com/Remember the Game. And don't forget, we donate 5% of our income to charity. And if you sign up for an annual subscription, you'll get your 12th month for free. I'm over on Twitch whenever I have time, twitch.tv/Remember the Game. And I can't think of anything else I want to plug. So that's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Mr. Jabroni, who said, "Hello, Adam, longtime lurker here. I wanted to weigh in on Slay the Spire. How the fuck do I beat it with the Ironclad? I had no problems with the other characters, but no matter what I do with Ironclad, I end up losing miserably. Do you have any advice for a struggling gamer?" I'm not very good at Slay. I love Slay the Spire, but I'm not particularly good at it. The only piece of advice I'd offer with the Ironclad is, unlike the Silent, the Defect, and the Watcher. Was it the Watcher? I think so. Ironclad's pretty basic. It's just attack or defend. So with me, I usually, I either go one way or the other. I don't try to split my deck between attacking and defending. I'm either I keep a few defense cards, but I count on his restore 6 HP every battle, and I fucking go balls to the wall attacking, or I try to load up on defense cards and grind my enemies out. But I find if I split it, I'm fine. And I do that with all, with the Silent, I don't find I can go with poison and the shivs. I either go shivs or I go poison. I find if I try to do both, it fucks me. So that's my only advice with the Ironclad, is just pick a lane and fucking stay in it. And personally, I've had more success, with the all-out offense. Just kill them before they even have a chance to fucking hurt you. But good luck. I know, Slay the Spire is tough. I love that game, but it's tough. SNES Life said, "Hey, Adam, if you had to choose a core IP of games to delete, what would it be?" And by core, I mean Mario, Zelda, Sonic, Halo, Gears, etc. The games that are generally regarded as having the biggest fan bases, I suppose. Now, the easy answer for me for this is Metal Gear Solid or Kingdom Hearts, because those are franchises I don't like. But I'm going to presume that I can't just take the easy way out and delete one I don't like. I have to delete something I actually genuinely give a shit about. I can't do Mario Kart. I can't do Mario. I don't really want to do, I like Sonic. I don't want to delete Sonic. I don't want to do Gears because Gears 6 I can't wait for. You know what? Honestly, I fucking hate to say it, but it might be Halo. I love Halo, but I've played through all the campaigns. I don't really play the online. It's been quite a while since they were really good. Oh, damn it. Hang on. Shaylee's calling. I'm going to answer this. I'll be right back. Sorry about that, everybody. I actually held the phone up to the microphone and I recorded our conversation, but I was told to go fuck myself and I better delete that. So it has been deleted. Going back to deleting. Speaking of deleting, SNES Life. Yeah. If I had to, I'd probably delete Halo. I don't want to, but like I can live without Halo. There's lots of other shooters. Gears, no fucking way. Mario, no fucking way. Zelda, Mark McHugh would kill me. Sonic, he's had enough problems. I'm not deleting that. I'll delete Halo. Plus the TV show sucks. I'll delete Halo. Cheese Zombie Gaming said, hey, Adam, sometimes you have guests on your show, and I was just wanting to know who some of your dream guests are that you'd like to have on the show. Keep up the killer podcast. Thank you, Cheese Gaming. I have. If you haven't listened to it yet, a couple weeks ago, I interviewed Eddie, the owner of Flynn's Arcade down in Florida. It was pretty fun. We've done like interviews with Nicholas Pickles from Video and Arcade Top 10, Summoning Salt from YouTube. We've done a few now. I like doing them. It's not easy to get guests. If I could pick a dream, I would love to talk to the Angry Video Game Nerd, but I know he doesn't really do any of these, so that's probably never going to happen, but I'd really, really like to talk to him. I would fucking pay good money to have Darkside Phil on here just to rip him a new ass, but he's a pussy. He'll never do that. Shigeru Miyamoto would be a fucking dream. I don't know. Those are honestly probably like the biggest. Angry Video Game Nerd is probably like the ultimate guest I would like to have on the show. Other than that, Colin Moriarty from IGN and Kind of Funny, currently of Sacred Symbols. We've actually talked about having him on the show, and then I just kind of haven't had time to lock that down. But I'd really like to have him on to talk about the future of like gaming sites and all that kind of stuff. If you guys are interested in those, I'm not opposed to doing it. Let me know. It's just, I don't like, a lot of people have recommended people I've never heard of. And I'm like, I really want to stick to like guests that I'm very passionate about, that I've got a hard opinion to throw in there. You know, not just people that are like, hey, I hear you're popular. Why so? If that makes sense. But Angry Video Game Nerd is probably number one. DePitzy Jr. said, thank you, Mr. Blank. Your podcasts are the reason I don't go insane at work. You're welcome. I hope all the hard work you put in really does pay off. It does. Thank you, Pitsy. Quick question. I know you love The Simpsons. Where are you on Futurama? I get asked this a lot. I actually quite enjoy Futurama, but I've never finished the series, and it just doesn't click with me like The Simpsons. The Simpsons are like fucking religion to me. I've watched them so long. I've watched them my whole life growing up. Futurama came out when I was like in high school or just out of high school. I've watched the first 4 or 5 seasons. I think it's a great show. I've been meaning to do a complete watch through of the whole thing again. I just, for whatever reason, it just hasn't found its way onto my screen. But I think great show. Fry is my favorite. Fry, very rarely do I pick like the main protagonist to be my favorite character, but Fry is a god. I love that man so much. Futurama. Good TV series. Underrated. Futurama's, it's like American Dad. Futurama and American Dad. Underrated shows. The Rockstar said, hello, King Wiener. I hope that our illustrious CEO Molly is doing well. She's actually sleeping right beside me right now. She's doing good. The great question I have is this. I just finished the main episodes of your show, and now I'm tackling through the backlogs of Expansion Pass, Game Patch, etc. I was wondering, how come it goes from top secret episodes, and then all of a sudden Expansion Pass was introduced? You haven't mentioned why during the episodes. Keep up the smashing work. Much love from the city of Great Britain, the Rockstar. So if you don't know, Expansion Pass is at episode 209, but there are actually a handful of podcasts available in that library called Top Secret Episode. When we first launched the Patreon, it was $2 a month, and I did 2 extra podcasts. That was a long time ago. I did 2 extra podcasts per month, not per week. I do 4 a week now. I used to do 2 per month. One was Top Secret Episode, and that was based on the Top Secret area in Super Mario World. So it was like Patreons got access to the Top Secret area. And we did game reviews on like Cuphead, Octopath Traveler. Originally, I tried to base it on modern games with retro vibes. But then when I started just doing Expansion Pass every week instead of every 2 weeks, I thought it needed a different name, and I just really liked the way Expansion, because it was an expansion pack to the show. So Expansion Pass just made sense to me. But basically that's the whole It's really not as exciting as you might think, but that's where it came from. Good time. I haven't thought about top secret episodes in forever. Good. That was a long time ago. We used to do a monthly Q&A episode over there too. Good times. Alex Ramos said, hello there, Adam. You talk about how much you love your Steam Deck and some of the games you play on it. I recently just got one as a gift. What are some of your favorite games to play on the Steamer, and what games would you recommend I pick up to take on the go? Thanks, and I love the podcast. Stay golden. I love that sign off. Stay golden, pony boy. That's what it was, right? And it doesn't matter. I do love my Steam Deck. Y'all know I'm not a PC gamer. Fucking hate playing on my PC, but I love my Steam Deck. That thing is a beast. And I don't do a lot of emulating on it. I've never really tweaked it or hacked it outside of I do some Xbox cloud gaming on it, but it's just a juggernaut. I love it. I think the best gaming experience I've had on my Steam Deck so far has either been WWE 2K23. This year I bought it on Xbox just to stream on Twitch, but WWE ran great on it, or I've been playing Cyberpunk 2077 on it, and it runs flawlessly. Fallout New Vegas. I know a lot of people are into Fallout right now. Those games run really well on it too, as does like Red Dead and The Witcher. It's great for those giant, as long as you don't care as much about having like a giant 4K TV or whatever the fuck to play your systems or those games. Big open world games like those, Elder Scrolls, stuff like that, they run really well on it. And it's a great way to tackle those big, beefy games on the go. I love it for indies as well. I always used to play my indie games on my Switch, but I just find the Steam Deck more comfortable to hold. So like Have a Nice Death, I've put a lot of time into. Backpack Hero, I did. Loop Hero, I put a lot of time into on it. I've bought Steam World Quest, but I haven't fired it up yet on there. It's just, I love everything on it. But if you're asking me for some recommendations, I would go with the big open world games, because to me, like, those are so much easier to play while you're binging a TV series and you're just walking around the wasteland or whatever it's called in Cyberpunk or Skyrim or whatever the fuck. That'd be my suggestion. Cyberpunk is great on it. And enjoy it. Thing's awesome. Diddly Schlong said, with games today requiring patches and downloads to play, do you think the games we're playing right now will even be collectible in the future if they're basically unplayable? I definitely think we're going to run into more and more of these games that will be unplayable in the future. Anything that's like live service or based entirely online, there's a pretty good chance eventually those servers are going down. And like the original Splatoon is unplayable now, I think, because that server's down. I definitely think that's going to become more and more of a thing. I think there'll always be a market out there to collect them. But I've also said it many times that I think gaming is going the way of subscription services and digital games, which is going to cut back on collectors. I think you'll see collectors basically collect up until about, I would guess, the PS4 era. After that, I'm sure some of you collect after that. Like, I know a lot of people collect Switch games and stuff, but like, yeah, the PS5, I think it'll be harder. And by the PS6, I honestly wonder if by PS6, there'll even be physical games to collect. And then you're right. Games that are based entirely online, yeah, the fact is eventually they're going to get shut down. So, yeah, no, it's going to kill it for sure. That's why you should collect NES and Super Nintendo and Genesis, because those games are never going to die. I love them. And finally, before we move on, it's letter time. It's letter time. Horace Earl said, good afternoon, one kind hot dog king, and to his hot dog patrons. This is a general question about the Sega versus Nintendo argument of the early 90s, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on the three, what your thoughts are on what were the three big releases during this time period. I'm actually writing a graduate school paper comparing the game theory choices of the two companies during this period, and I currently have one, the release of the SNES at $199.99 compared to the Sega drop at $149.99, and help Sega break into the market. And two, the price drops of both systems in April of 92 to $99.99 with the legendary Link to the Past. If you or any other hot dogs had a good idea for a third battle between the two companies in that era, I'm simply curious of other opinions on the idea. I was thinking maybe the Sega CD release. Thanks for all your feedback, peeps. Sincerely, a loyal new follower. Thank you, Horace. And dude, I would love to be able to writing a graduate paper on the fucking greatest console war in the history of gaming. That sounds awesome. I don't know what degree you're going after that you could write that. Marketing, maybe? But that's fucking sick. I don't have a lot of opinions on the two things you mentioned, because during that console war, I wasn't buying my own games. I was just a wee lad and my parents were buying them for me. So I never knew what a Super Nintendo cost or a Sega Genesis or a game or any of that stuff, because I didn't know a lot about it. But to answer your second question, or your other question, if you need a third, so you've got the release of the Super Nintendo compared to Sega coming in, undercutting them to get into the software market, and then both companies dropping to $99.99 while they're battling with each other. I would hear an argument for the third one being Sega's attacks on Nintendo, with their like commercials where they'd show like Mario Kart on the back of a broken down van and then Sonic just taking off and Sega does what Nintendo don't. I don't remember Nintendo doing a lot of that back. Maybe they did and I don't remember it, but I think Nintendo didn't want to draw attention to this competitor that was quickly gaining market share against them. So that's why I don't think Nintendo did it. So maybe that could be your third thing. If anyone out there's got an idea, by all means. I don't know how you're going to get it to Horace. Maybe post it in the Discord and the Remember the Game channel. But I really think that could be your third one. Sega was very aggressive with their marketing approach, kind of be like, hey, they're lame and we're cool. And it worked, at least until the Sega CD 32X Saturn debacle. But anyway, yeah, good. I love that era. I love the console wars so much. That was the best console war. Sega Nintendo will never be touched. Anyways, we got to keep the ball rolling. Thank you for all the submissions, everybody. Let's get to our Smash Hit segment, the official game show of Remember the Game Industries. It is Play 1, Remake 1, Erase 1. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our patrons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. And as always, there are no wrong answers. There is a right one, though. We'll get there in a second. This week we're talking Spy vs. Spy, so I went with 3 other competitive NES games. We had Super Dodgeball, Bomberman 2, and Dr. Mario. And 41% said play Dr. Mario, remake Bomberman 2, and erase Super Dodgeball. That was the runaway winner. So let's see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was, because that was not the right answer. I'll tell you what it was in a second. Mr. Billy Boucher said, I would play Dr. Mario because it's a Mario game, and I like most of them. Remake Super Dodgeball because I'm erasing Bomberman 2. I love that your logic for the one you're remaking is simply because you're like, well, I'm erasing this one, so I guess I have to remake this other one. I respect your logic, Mr. Billy. That's not what I would do, but I respect that logic. The way you got there, you showed your work. B+, B+. Will has a Patreon. Said, play Dodgeball because I never have. Remake Bomberman 2 because the franchise could use some love. And erase Dr. Mario because his doctorate is actually in art history. Is that true? That's not true. I'm on board with the rest of that logic, though. Play Dodgeball because you haven't. And you're right, Bomberman needs some love. And fuck that Bomberman... What the fuck? They released a Bomberman Battle Royale game a few years ago, and the servers were just garbage. They should try that again, because Bomberman Online, like a Battle Royale Bomberman game, should be dope. It's not, but it should be. Phil Lencher said, I'm going to play Super Dodgeball because that game is the shit. I'll remake Dr. Mario. I wouldn't change anything about the gameplay, but I'd make it look similar to Tetris Effect Connected. And then, unfortunately, I'll delete Bomberman 2 because there are other Bomberman games to play. Dude, a Tetris Effect Connected Dr. Mario, that... I'm a little turned on right now. That's a great fucking idea. You could take pills and then play the game about pills. That'd be wild. And Piss Out My Ass said, play Dr. Mario because you can't improve on perfection. Remake Bomberman 2 because I'd love a modern cross-platform Bomberman game to play with my friends. And then erase Super Dodgeball because Dodgeball is a game that's way more fun in real life. If someone asked if I wanted to play a Dodgeball video game, I'd say no. See, I mean, Dodgeball is more fun in real life, but I'm not a very good thrower. So I like the video game one because I can whip it way harder than I can in real life. But I get it, though. I'd love a Dodgeball game based on the movie. That'd be fucking sick. Where you could, like, sign free agents and everything. Oh, man, that'd be fucking wild. Anyway, this was tough. I wasn't sure which way to go. 70% of the collective vote was to play Dr. Mario, and then it was split on which of the other 2 games you'd remake and erase. I'm actually going to go a different way. I'm going to go with 10% of you voted the same way I did, as did Keith Rolla, who actually had almost the exact same logic as I did as well. Keith Rolla said, I'll play Bomberman 2 because it's a classic that still holds up. I'll remake Dr. Mario and just give it everyone the Dr. Mario 99 we all want. And then I'll erase Super Dodgeball because I've tried it and I didn't have fun playing it. I actually agree with most of your logic, and I certainly agree with your order, Keith. I'm going to play Bomberman 2 because Bomberman's fucking awesome. Do I want more and a better online? Absolutely, but Bomberman is still Bomberman. It's the shit. I'm going to remake Dr. Mario for Dr. Mario 99 because I have wet dreams over Dr. Mario 99. I want that so fucking bad. And then I'm going to erase Super Dodgeball. I haven't played a ton of it. I've got nothing against it. But this Sunday, I'm going to make orphans of its children. Shout out to anyone that gets that reference. In reality, I just like Bomberman and Dr. Mario more. But Super Dodgeball is good times. Thank you for playing, everybody. I love that stupid segment. What have I been playing over the last 7 days? Honestly, mostly just Balatro and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. And most of it has been Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That game, I'm trying to get through it, and it finally has clicked with me. I still don't love the open world areas, but like the story and all that is just as good as the first one. And I am going to be firing up Beautiful Joe right away to get ready for an upcoming episode of the show as well. And then I've been playing a little bit of like Super C and Batman and stuff on my NES, but mostly Balatro and Rebirth. So here's what's going to happen, all right? We're going to go into Spy versus Spy talk in just a second. We have bills that need to be kept on. So we are going to read an ad here, or let an ad play, let a sponsor peddle their wares, and then when you get back, it's 100% Spy versus Spy. We will be right back after this. We've had some great partners over the years here at Remember the Game, but I don't know if any of them have hit home for me quite like Hometown Hero does. No pun intended. Don't start. It's a transparent, honest cannabis company that helps people and gives back to those that have served their country at the same time. I mean, come on. As soon as I read about these guys, I knew I wanted to work with them. Hometown Hero is a cannabis company out of Austin, Texas, and they were founded back in 2015 by a U.S. veteran. They have two goals: create premium hemp products that can help everyone, and to support veterans by donating a portion of those profits to organizations set up to take care of those who have served. Hometown Hero products are of the highest quality, and everything they offer is made right there in the U.S. of A. Gummies, caramels, chocolates, drink mix. There's something for everyone. And what's more, their hemp is grown locally in Texas, which is something they should and do take a lot of pride in. And they offer certificates of analysis for everything they sell because they want to be clear that their products are as advertised, both in terms of potency and ingredients. No contaminants, you get what you pay for. Just how they conduct business is enough to get my good eyes' attention, but when you circle back to the fact that the company was founded by a veteran and they put such heavy emphasis on supporting veterans, this isn't just lip service. I'm not reading a script I was given here. I'm proud to have Hometown Hero associated with Remember the Game. Reclaim your evening. Visit hometownhero.com and use code RTG to take 20% off your first purchase. That's hometownhero.com, code RTG for 20% off your first purchase. This is an ad by BetterHelp. A band once said, "Work sucks, I know." And I think most people agree with them. Workplace stress is now one of the top causes of declining mental health, with 61% of the global workforce experiencing higher than normal levels of stress from their jobs. And while walking away from your job might not be an option, taking a little time every day to focus on yourself and your mental health can make a huge difference. I know in the summer I try to get outside every day, get a little bit of sun, and just enjoy the outdoors. It really helps. At least until my allergies attack, and then it's ugly. It's important to take steps to combat work stress, and therapy can be a huge one. It's not just for overcoming trauma. Therapy can help you define work goals, set some work boundaries, develop coping skills. It's like a cheat code for life. And if you're thinking, man, I'm too busy for therapy, well, look into BetterHelp. They make therapy as convenient as possible. You can meet with one of their over 30,000 therapists online and on your schedule, just like over 5 million people around the world already have done. As the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Unwind from work with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at BetterHelp.com/RememberTheGame. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/RememberTheGame. All right, let's get into Spy versus Spy. As always, I like to let the listeners sound off on the game we're covering before my guest and I hog the microphone like we're about to. I guess this week it's just me before I hog the microphone like I always do. And we had a bunch of comments about this game, which makes me happy because I really didn't think anyone else had played it. So let's get through a few of them here. Sven Vasquez said, "I never played the NES version, but I was obsessed with the Game Boy Color version and the comic strip in Mad Magazine, of course. The concept of planting tricks for your enemy was fun. It definitely got tiring after a bit, but I didn't have any games, so I had to make my own fun." Dude, I think every retro gamer can hear that. Like, I didn't really like this game. It got boring after a while, but I had to keep playing it. That said, I could see how, like, Spy versus Spy without playing against another person does get old after about a dozen games. I understand that. But with somebody else, it can go fucking forever. I didn't know there was a Game Boy version. That's wild. Dazarath, I still don't know if I'm saying that right, said, as a kid, I tried playing this, and I believe I was just too young to understand what was going on. At the time, I was used to platforming of games like Super Mario and the like, so I quickly moved on, regrettably so. Now that I'm older, I wish I had given the game more of a chance. We had a lot of people write in being like, I tried playing this as a kid and didn't understand it. I get that. I don't know how we figured it out. We must have gotten lucky and gotten one of the ones with an instruction manual, because I don't know how else we would have figured this out. I have no fucking idea. And it's cryptic as fuck if you don't have an instruction manual or the internet to look it up, which we didn't fucking have back then. So I get that. I hope this episode convinces some of you to play it a little bit more, because it really is a hidden gem on the NES. Hot Cheese Sauce said, I haven't thought about this game in a hot minute. Glad it's getting attention. I played this game so much as a kid with my sister. I remember I used to screen watch, and fuck. Easy for me to say. I remember I used to screen watch and see where she was all the time, just to try to sneak up on her and kill her character. Or I'd go into the rooms I knew she hadn't been in and set traps. I can't remember everything about the game, but the love is definitely there. I wish they'd done a modern version of this game with online play and more gadgets. That would be so fun. A few people wrote in about the Xbox version. I didn't know that was a thing. So I guess there are some more modern versions, but I don't know if they're anything like this original, like, kind of puzzle game classic or not. I can't speak to that. Captain Blacksilver said, yes, the origin of stop watching my screen. This game has tested so many friendships, even before I actually knew how to play it. It was still fun to run around, set traps, and watch somebody trigger them. Agreed. You could have had a great afternoon just setting the traps and laughing at each other getting blown up. And then when you actually throw in, like, a brilliant idea for a game underneath, forget about it. And TBO Castlevaniac said, I'm looking forward to this. I have it in my NES collection. I tried it once, but I have no idea how it works. Enlighten me. That's what I'm going to fucking do, Castlevaniac. I am going to show you all the way of Spy versus Spy, one of my childhood favorites. I'm going to cue up some music. And when it stops, we will take a look back at Spy vs. Spy, which originally released in North America on the Atari and the Commodore 64 in 1984, and on the NES in the fall of 1988. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. All right, so first and foremost, if you're like, fuck, I'm getting sick of hearing that song, if you maybe never play Spy vs. Spy with the sound on, because that is pretty well the entire soundtrack. It's one of the tricky things about Remember the Game is I like to work the music from the games into the episodes, as I'm sure most of you are aware, but when the game only has one fucking song, it makes it a little bit harder. And the thing is, like, at least I'm trying to think of what another game is that only has one song. Ghostbusters is infamous on the NES for only having one song, and it's like a chiptune version of the Ghostbusters theme song. But at least that goes for like a minute before it stops, and it's like the whole song. You get to, like, you know, like the ups and downs. This is fucking 15 seconds, and you've heard it. It's a great song for 15 seconds, but then after about a minute and a half of hearing it, you're like, okay, I've had enough of this. So I apologize. I hope it's stuck in a couple of your fucking heads, though, because god damn it, was it stuck in mine. So, and the thing is, I'm looking forward to this review, but I'll be honest, this might be one of the shorter modern episodes of Remember the Game. I say modern because the original, like, pre-infamous intro episodes are like 20 minutes long. They're getting longer now, but much like the music in this game, there's really not a lot there. But the stuff that is there is good until you get sick of it. I genuinely really like this game. And I see, you just heard a few of the comments. We've had a lot of people write in being like, hey, I rented this game as a kid, or I had this game as a kid, or maybe I fucking have it now, and I have no idea how to play it. And I get that. It really, I don't know how on earth we figured out how to play this game as a kid. The only thing I can think of is that, because we never owned it, the only thing I can think of is that at some point, we rented it and either got lucky and it came with the instruction manual. Remember when you'd rent a game and you happened to get an instruction manual and it was like winning the fucking lottery for a kid? It either came with an instruction manual or we had one of those plastic cases that had the instructions like glued on the, like that shitty cheat sheet of instructions glued on the back. But this game has no tutorial or anything. It's not going to teach you. It's so funny because I'm guilty of it too. People today complain about the long tutorial levels in games and how it's like, fuck, just let me play, and if I need help, I'll look at, and I get it, because I do that, but back in the NES days, there was no tutorial, and we didn't have the internet to look up how to play, so if you didn't have an instruction manual, sometimes you were fucked. And this was one of those games, because I'm going to explain it to you now, and it might not sound that complex, but if you tried playing this back in the day without anybody telling you what to do, it was fucking rocket science. So the gist of the game is you are a spy versus a spy. You all know it's the spy versus spy from Mad Magazine infamy. Quickly, just before I get into the game, I just want to say I didn't get into Mad Magazine until like junior high, and then it's like, I don't know, I read it, but I didn't read it regularly. It was something I would just buy once in a while. It was something I recognized was on the cover because I'm so out of tune with pop culture. It's why Saturday Night Live is never... True story, I liked Mad TV better than Saturday Night Live. I don't know if that's sacrilege or not, but I don't give a fuck. Mad TV was a good fucking show. So I didn't read a lot of the magazine growing up, but I knew of Spy versus Spy. And I think that's probably why we rented it, because they just look they are so fucking cool looking. If I was a bigger fan of Mad Magazine, I would consider a Spy versus Spy tattoo, because I think those two spies look so fucking awesome. So that's basically what the game is it's the Spy versus Spy from the magazines. If by some fluke you never read those either, they're these two, what are they, like birds? They're these two characters. One's in a white trench coat with a white fedora, and the other one's in a black trench coat with a black fedora. They're like mirror images of each other, and then they have really long faces. I think they're kind of like bird faces, but I don't know. They kind of look like in Beetlejuice when the guy stretches his face down. That's what they look like. And basically they just go around trying to kill each other. And that's basically what the game is. The objective of the game is it's 1v1. You're either the white spy or the black spy. And the objective of the game is to collect 4 items. You have to collect a passport, you have to collect a wad of money, you have to collect a key, and you have to collect, I think it's like papers or something, like paperwork or some like confidential file. I don't fucking know. And then you have to collect a briefcase to keep all 4 of those things in. And then you have to escape from this building and get on a plane and get away before the timer runs out and before the other player does it, because you're not after your own set of those things in the briefcase. You're after the exact same set of them. So you're constantly in each other's way, and it's 1v1. And I'll get more into the how the game plays and the strategies and stuff in it in a minute. But I will say, like, I didn't realize it so much back then, but looking back on it now, this game came out in fucking 1984 on consoles and shit, well before my time, like the Atari and stuff like that. I only know the NES version. This is a pretty inventive game for the 80s. It's got the It Takes Two. I mean, it's not as good as It Takes Two, but it's got the It Takes Two formula. It's split screen, and it's running at real time. One of you is playing on the top screen as the white spy, and one of you, or the computer, is playing on the bottom screen as the black spy. And you're running around, they call them embassies, and depending on the difficulty level you select, the embassy is bigger or smaller. But you're running around in this thing in real time. If one of you goes into a room and the other one is in there, then you both appear on each other's screen, and you're attacking each other, and you're what's the word I'm looking for? Not impacting, not ingesting, interacting. Fuck me, I smoke too much pot. You're interacting with the same items at the same time and all that kind of stuff. And it was really kind of a clever fucking thing. And the screen watching was a problem, because especially if you were playing it with another player, you could watch and see where the other player was hiding equipment or setting traps and stuff. But I don't feel like it was as big of a problem as it would become later in GoldenEye. And I think it was just because we just didn't know better when we were playing Spy versus Spy. It didn't seem like there was any other options other than to look at each other's screen. That was just part of how the game was played. We'd all yell at each other for doing it, but we'd all fucking do it. So that's the basic gist of the game. You're running around in this embassy. There's 8 different, I guess, difficulty levels, if you want to call them that, or just levels. And the shortest one, level 1, is literally 6 rooms. It's a 3x2 rectangle, and that's how the map always shows up. Think of the maps in like Metroid and stuff. Each room is just a box on the map. It's just a grid, like a square. And the smallest map is 3x2, and the largest maps are like multiple floors with dead ends, and they're huge, and they get pretty complex by the end of the game. It's pretty awesome. You don't get to choose your spy, which is a little bit frustrating, because it'd be cool if you could choose if you want to play as white or... They play exactly the same, but it'd be cool if you could choose whichever one you want to play. But player 1 is always the white spy on top, and then if you have a second player, they'll be the black spy on the bottom half of the screen. If you're playing as a computer, they'll just be the black spy on the bottom half of the screen. One thing I just thought of while I was writing down the basic ideas of or my bullet points for this review is, I wish when you were playing against the computer, you could turn off you could just have your map appear on the bottom half and not see where the computer is. That would have added so much more to it, because when you're the computer sucks. Like, you can play this game is meant to be played 1v1. You can play it against the computer, and it's fun for learning the game and figuring out strategies and stuff. But the computer, a lot of the time, they walk into their own booby traps, and they don't really try that hard. And it'd be a little bit more challenging if you couldn't watch like where they're setting traps. They're moving slow. It's super easy to keep an eye on them, and you can obviously artificially crank up the difficulty by just not watching their screen. But I wish that you could just turn it off and see your map, because that's one of the frustrating things about the game is the controls. And it's wild that I always get just a little bit peeved by NES games that have controls that irritate you, because there's not enough buttons on an NES controller to make the controls overly complex. But in this one, the D-pad moves you around, obviously. I think A is how you interact with stuff, because every room you go into, there are things you can interact with. You run into a room, and there might be like desks, cabinets, picture frames, bookshelves, coat hangers, all kinds of stuff, and you can interact with them. And that's where the items are hidden. Those 4 items you need to collect are hidden in these random pieces of furniture. And then when you bring up your map, it'll have I think a map. I haven't played this game in years. I think the screen, the rooms are each indicated by a green square on the grid. And then there'll be a smaller blue square in the middle of that green square if that means there's an item in the room. And there's a yellow square on the map if it means there's a bomb or a trap, in the room. But to look at your map, you actually have to mash B, which is how you rotate through your inventory. And so you go from like, I'll get into the traps in a minute, but you have like 3 or 4 different traps that you can place. And so you have to tap B to go to a different trap, then a different trap, then a different trap, then a different trap. Then finally you bring up your map, then you hit it again and you get back to your person. To like just the gameplay screen, and it all appears on your screen. It's not like the map is off to the side. And like I said, when you're playing one player, the map doesn't show up at the bottom. You basically can't see your screen if you bring up the map. And that's just a little bit frustrating. I can live with not being able to see my own screen because I had to bring the map up on it, but select in this game outside of navigating the menus does absolutely nothing. And it's like, I don't know why. Could someone explain to me why game developers back in the day were so scared of the select button? Like, I get using it to navigate map or menus. I'm totally down with that, but navigating menus is like 0.5% of most games. So it's like, once I've navigated the menu and I'm into the gameplay, how about letting it do something? Make it just another button. So I wish you could just hit select and bring up your map, because it's frustrating when you're in the heat of the moment, because this game gets fucking intense and you're running out of time and you know where all the items are and you're like, fuck, I need to bring up the map and see where it is. And you B, the map comes up, but you accidentally tap it one too many times and go right through and you're like, fuck, B. And it's just, choking on my own rage. I wish that you could hit select and just bring up the map. That was frustrating. So that's your map. Basically, you can see where stuff are. You can't see what is in a room. You can just see, like I said, it'll either indicate if an item is in the room or a bomb is in the room, or a weapon, is in the room. It doesn't indicate where in the room it is or anything like that. So the objective of the game is to run around and pick up these 4 items and then get a briefcase to keep the 4 items in. If you don't find and again, there's only 1 briefcase, 1 passport, 1 key, 1 paperwork, 1 bag of money, or whatever the fuck the items you have to get are. So both spies are fighting over the same set. If you haven't found the briefcase yet, then you can only carry 1 of the 4 things. So if you find, say, the bag of money, then you can carry around that bag of money all you want. But if then, say, you find the key, you can drop the bag of money into, like, say, and it's never in I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. It's a kind of frankly, explaining this game takes longer than fucking playing it. So you go into a room and say all that's in the room is a desk and a picture frame. That's it. The room is empty other than the desk and the picture frame. You can walk up to the desk and hit A, and you'll open the desk and look and see if there's something in it. Say the bag of money is in there. Now your spy has the bag of money. You have a little white box beside your screen that shows which items you've got. So now you're carrying the bag of money. Now say you go into another room and you look in a bookshelf and find the key. You'll take the key, but you'll put the bag of money there. So now that's one of the first layers of the onion of the strategy of this game, is remembering, where did I stash that bag of money because now I'm carrying the key. And really, each of those 4 individual items on their own, the objectives are useless. You need all 4 of them to win the game. But you can only carry 1 until you find the briefcase. Once you find the briefcase, it'll appear in your spy's hand. And you're running, there's a voice crack, and you're running around with the briefcase. Now, if I go find the bag of money, it'll go in the briefcase, and I can carry it. Now I'll go get the key. It'll join the bag of money in the briefcase. But now, if I die, I leave the briefcase with the bag of money and the key in the room I died in one of the pieces of furniture. And now the other spy can go into that room, search the furniture, find the briefcase with the bag of money and the key in it. And now they just need to find the plane ticket and the paperwork or whatever the fuck they are, the other 2 items. And then they're out of there. So that becomes part of the strategy of it is like, I know when I would play it, one of the things I would do is I'd find the briefcase and then I would stash it without anything in it, and then go find each of the 4 items first. Because you're kind of playing with fire if you're running around with the briefcase and you grab the bag of money, you grab the key, you grab the secret papers, then you die. And I'll explain how you die in a second, because that's probably the funniest part of the game. Then you die. Fuck, now if the other, in this case, I'm going to call the other player Josh, my brother, because this is who I played it with the most. Now, if Josh finds that briefcase, I've already done 3/4 of the heavy lifting for him. He just needs to find the 4th item and get the fuck out. So I would always keep them separate till I knew where everything was, and then I'd go on like a blitz run out of there, grab the briefcase, grab my 4 items, and get the fuck out of Dodge. I'm not going to just hand the fucking game to him. So that's half of the game, is finding the items that you need to escape and getting them all and getting to the door with the airplane on it, which is the exit, and getting the fuck out of the game before your opponent. That's how you win. In the same time, you both have your own individual timer, and it starts out with the same amount of time on it. I think the amount of time that was on it was decided by which level you played. A smaller level, you might only have 5 minutes. The larger levels, you could get up to like 20 or 30 minutes on your timer. Every time you die, you have to sit out of the game for, I think it's 10 seconds. You can't move. 10 seconds from your timer just ticks down. Plus, if you get killed by the other player or a booby trap, you lose an additional 30. I can't remember if it was, because you can die at the hand of your own traps, but I can't remember if you're penalized for it or if you just sit out the 10 seconds. I know for sure if the other player kills you, you lose an additional 30 seconds. You don't have to sit out for that extra 30, but it just removes 30 seconds from your clock. Then you have to sit there for 10 seconds. Then you can jump back in. So each player starts with the same amount of time, but the more they die, the more their clock, like the less time they may have on their clock compared to the other player. And if you run out of time, you lose. So if one player runs out of time, it'll say time up, like game over for them. The other player still has until their clock runs out to find the briefcase and the 4 items and get out. If you both run out of time, then it's just a draw and nobody wins. So I really like that little aspect of it too, because again, it just adds another layer to the strategy of this game. And I hope now for some of you that rented it growing up and were confused by the game, I'm hoping now that at least it's like, oh, like now it's kind of starting to click as far as what you had to do to beat the game. Now, in addition to collecting those things, like I said, you can kill the other spy, and I want to get into that because some of that's really funny. So this is not going to be that long of an episode. This is just one of those. This is one of the smaller chicken wings in the basket. I haven't dropped one of these in a while. Not a ton of meat on the proverbial spy versus spy bone. But I'm going to take a quick break here. I need a drink of water. I'm going to let a sponsor come in and peddle their wares to help us keep the bills on. And when we get back, we'll talk about blowing each other up. Because at the end of the day, that's what video games are all about. We'll be right back after this. All right, so we've talked about finding briefcases and passports and keys and looking behind coat hangers and stuff. And that is, I guess at the end of the day, that is the objective of the game. But it's not the meat of the game. The meat of the game is killing the other spy. These guys are like the first Itchy and Scratchy. I guess, well, Tom and Jerry were the original Itchy and Scratchy, but whatever, you get the point. You have to kill each other, and you can take each other out in multiple ways in this game. First off, fisticuffs. Like I said earlier, if both spies run into the same room, it's in real time. It's that it takes 2 split screen. You can see both screens at the same time. When you run into a room with the other spy, you can throw hands. Each spy has a power meter of their health. And if neither spy has a weapon, then you're just mashing the button and it's Rock'em Sock'em Robots. And the first one to drain the other one's health bar will, that one dies. And whenever they die, it used to creep me the fuck out when I was a little kid. Whenever a spy dies, they turn into like an angel, but they still have that kind of sinister looking beak face and they're still in their trench coat and hat, and they turn and look at the camera and float up into heaven is kind of fucking creepy. So if you run into the other room and you fight each other, the first one knock the other one out, drain their health by just mashing the attack button, you'll kill them. They float off. They get the penalization of the 30 seconds off their clock, 10 seconds sitting out, and you can just go. And it's really a big advantage. If you go into a room, say, again, I'm going to keep using my brother as the other player. Say I go into a room with Josh, and Josh has the briefcase with all the items in it. Once you've got that briefcase with all the items, you are avoiding the other player like the plague. Unless they've got like no health left and you know you could beat them in a couple of shots. Because as soon as you run into a room with the other spy, any good items you're carrying instantly get hidden in that room. You don't even get the option. They'll just instantly be placed in one of the pieces of furniture in the room. And so if Josh has the briefcase with all the items, I run into a room with him, I kill him. Now that briefcase with all the items in it is in that room. I know what room it's in because it's in the room I was just in, or I'm in right now, and he can't touch me for at least 10 seconds. So I can grab that briefcase and take off. It's a big gamble. Adding to the layer adding a small layer to the hand-to-hand combat in this game is you can find weapons. You can find like a dagger. I think there's like a club. And once you find it, it's yours for the rest of the game. It's not like the other items where when you get killed, if I remember correctly, once you get killed, it's not like it goes into the room you were killed in. You keep it. So when you come back to life, you already have it. And it does like exponentially more damage. Say it takes 10 regular punches to KO the other player. It takes like 3 shots with a weapon. So if one player has a weapon and one player doesn't, it is such a and that's where screen watching comes into play. And that's where I actually think screen watching is beneficial to the quality of the game because you both know. It's like, fuck, I just saw him pick up the dagger. I don't have a weapon. I cannot get into a fight with him because he will absolutely massacre me. So now he's playing the strategic game of trying to find me. Because if he can kill me, he gets that time off my timer, and he gets 10 seconds with me not even in the game to run around and look around. And I'm actively trying to avoid him because I know if he finds me, I'm a fucking dead man. So that's pretty rad. But that's not the only way to kill each other. You also just get booby traps throughout the game. And I don't quite understand all the booby. Some of them are dope. So one is a spring. And you can put a spring into a piece of furniture, and there's no way to know the spring is in that piece of furniture, aside from if you go through your weapons and bring up your map, it'll have a yellow square in the room indicating there is some form of booby trap in that room, but you don't know which kind, and you don't know, say there's 3 pieces of furniture in a room, I don't know which of those 3 pieces of furniture the spring is in. But if you go up and trigger that spring by investigating the piece of furniture the spring is in, it shoots you backwards. And what's really cool is you can get shot through doors. And so it can take like an extra 2 or 3 seconds while you're going through all the doors till you finally hit a wall, and then you die and you float off into heaven and you're dead. So that's one of the weapons. Number 2 is you can put a bomb in a piece of furniture. And then same thing, if somebody opens that piece of furniture or interacts with that furniture and a bomb is in there, and you get blown up and it's done. You can also put a time bomb in any room. And that's the one you don't have to put into any piece of furniture. You literally just go in a room and place a time bomb. And then if you're, I think it works on you as well. I can't remember. You can definitely, if I put a spring in a desk and then I open the desk, that spring will kill me. I can't remember if a time bomb that I placed will still blow me up, but it'll certainly blow you or my brother up. If you go into a room and your spy's face turns blue, you have about 1 second to get the fuck out of that room. And you can just go out the door you just came in and come right back in again. But if you don't, the time bomb blows up and kills you. If you do leave and then come back in, that's how you defuse the time bomb, and then it won't kill you anymore. But you have no time. Like, you need to be paying attention. If your face is blue, turn the fuck around because that time bomb will blow you up. And then the 4th weapon is a bucket of water, and that can only be put on a door. Every room has multiple doors, and they're all closed to begin with, but then you can open them and then they'll stay open, or you can close them again. And if you close it, you can balance a bucket of water on it. And then if the other player or you open the door with the bucket of water on it, it electrocutes you and you die. I don't understand if it's like electrified. I guess it's electrified water. Like, it's got tons of electrolytes in it. I don't understand how this water electrifies you, but it doesn't matter. The water can electrify you and blow you up. And that's one of the problems with the computer. One of the things they do a lot is they'll go into a room where there's no exits. There's like one exit. There's one door. And then that's where they'll balance the bucket of water. And then they'll realize like, so then they'll open the door and splash the electrocuted electrolyte water on themselves and kill themselves and take themselves out of the game. So those are the 4 traps that you can set. So there's basically 5 ways to kill your opponent, and that is to get them to either dump electrocuted water on themselves, open a piece of furniture with a spring in it, open a piece of furniture with a bomb in it, or set a time bomb in a room and have them not get out of the room in time. Or you can punch them, stab them, or bludgeon them to death if you've got a weapon. Those are how you kill each other. Now, what's really neat about this game too is that you can also counter most of the weapons. If you go into a room and your face turns blue, turn around and get the fuck out of the room, then you can go back in, and that basically disarms the time bomb, and you won't be blown up. There are coat racks in some rooms, and you can search a coat rack for an item in the game, one of the ones you need. But also, if there's not one of those items, you'll get an umbrella, and then you just run around with an umbrella over your head. It's not like you carry an inventory of items that you can take out and use when you want to. If you find an umbrella, then your spy will just run around with an umbrella over their head. If you open a door with a bucket of water balanced on it, but you have an umbrella, then the water doesn't electrocute you. Right? Makes sense? That's piece of advice for all you kids out there. If you ever go outside in like a thunderstorm and you're worried about getting struck by lightning, carry an umbrella, because then it can't get you, that as the game teaches you. So if you find an umbrella, you can use it to disarm one electric bucket of water on a door. You can open a medicine, it's like a medicine cabinet or whatever, like a tool chest that's hanging on the wall, and you can find wire cutters. And if you find those, then you can open one desk or one piece of furniture with a spring in it, and it won't kill you because you disarm the, you'll like cut the spring. And then if I remember correctly, you can find a bucket of water, but I don't remember where. But if you find a bucket of water, you can use that to put out a bomb that's in a desk and then or a piece of furniture, and then that will kill you. So that adds another quick layer of strategy, as well as like, fuck, I know the suitcase is in that back corner room, but I know that Josh has booby-trapped that door with an electric bucket of water. Now I'm running around looking for an umbrella so that I can get into that room without dying to get that briefcase. And the best part is that he also can't get into that room to get the briefcase without finding an umbrella to protect himself from the bucket of electrified water. So I hope now, for some of you that played this growing up, you're like, oh, now it's all kind of starting to make sense. There really is a clever little game there. Some people have mentioned there's a modern Spy versus Spy game. I don't know if it's a remake of this or if it's something different, but I would love to see this game, like with online these days. I think you could have a lot of fun with this game, playing it with your friends. Frankly, if you've got it in your collection, it's not available anywhere, so emulate the fuck out of it. I don't give a shit. If you're looking for a fun NES game to play on the couch with somebody, this one can be it. If you have two people that both understand the basic strategies of the game and know how to play it, it can be a fucking blast to go heads up in this game. It's a good fucking time. And it can get pretty hectic. And like I said, we used to end up playing chicken with each other. We both knew where everything was, but we both set so many traps that now we're trying to navigate our own traps plus the other guy's traps to get to the items without blowing each other up. And while we're doing it, that fucking timer is ticking down, and we're throwing hands every time we get into the same room with each other. So graphically, it's nothing to write home about. It's okay. It's a port of a Commodore game and stuff like that. So every room you go into, trying to think of how it's almost like a TV set. Like, you know, when you watch Seinfeld, you never see that one wall of Jerry's apartment, but it's like that. When you go into a room, you see the wall on the left, the wall on the right, the wall at the top or back of the room, and then all there is at the front of the room is enough to let you know there's a door there, if there is a door there. So that's really it. The two spies look cool. Everything else is pretty basic. There's not like a bunch of big cool fight animations or anything like that. There's frankly a minimal amount of furniture in each room. There's usually only 2 or 3 things you can interact with. Where the randomness comes in is at the start of the game. It's not like the briefcase, unless I'm remembering it incorrectly, but I don't believe I am. It's not like the briefcase and all the things you need to get out of the room are all in the same furniture every time. Like, it's all randomly placed right out of the game. So you might get lucky and like 2 of the rooms, one on your left and one on your right, one has like a dagger to be able to kill the other guy, and the other one's got the briefcase, and you're off to the races. But then you might get unlucky and be put at the far end of a embassy, is what they call it, and all the other stuff is at the other end with the spy. So, and then if I'm also remembering correctly, I don't think it tells you which room the exit is in. All you'll know is that the exit is and I might be wrong, but the exit door has a big airplane on it, and I think it's only the door at the top or the back of the room when you push up to go through it. So you don't know where the exit is, but you know it has to be at one of the rooms where there's no room above it, because that's your way to get out. So you can find, many a game, I found the briefcase, I found all the items, and I'm like, fuck, I do not remember where the exit is. So now it's a mad scramble to get to the exit, and you can see which items the other character has by looking up at their screen, and that's encouraged. That's not cheat screen watching. That's encouraged screen watching. So I'm like, fuck, I see that Josh has the briefcase. He has all 4 items. He's trying to get to the exit. I am in a mad scramble to get, even if he's got a weapon and I don't, I am in a mad scramble to get into the room that he's in and kill him before he gets out the door. Or I'm in a scramble to get to the room with the exit and booby trap all the doors around it. I've done that, where I've locked myself in the room that is the exit when I know that he's got all the items, and I've just booby trapped the doors with the buckets of water. And I'm like, come on, because if you open one of those doors to get out, it's going to splash and kill you and you're fucked. So now he needs to go hide the briefcase somewhere, go find an umbrella, come open the door, hopefully take me out, then go back, get the briefcase, then get out before I come back to life and kill him. It's fucking good times, man. It's nothing special to look at. It's certainly nothing special to listen to, but I genuinely think it's one of the clever, more ingenious games on the NES, and I think it's among the best multiplayer experiences on the NES. Playing it against the computer, you will get bored after a few hours. Like, I wouldn't buy it just for the single player component of it, but to play it against another player, you can go for fucking hours, man. It is a good time. Spy versus Spy. I genuinely had kind of forgotten about this game, and then as I mentioned in the infamous intro, I was flipping through Twitter. I hate calling it X. I'll never call it X. Why do you rename something that has the name recognition that fucking Twitter has, the brand name recognition that Twitter has? I'll never know. But anyway, I was going through Twitter and I saw that somebody had posted about Spy versus Spy, and I was like, fuck me, I remember that game, and I needed a game to cover this week because next week we're revisiting Link's Awakening, and then hopefully the week after that I'm playing Beautiful Joe, or covering Beautiful Joe, but I just hadn't had time to finish playing Beautiful in time for this week's episode. And then I was like, fuck, we're running out of episodes that I can do like this, where I just base them on my memories of the game. Because it's like, we've covered so many of the games I grew up playing, but this was one where I thought, oh my God, I fucking remember. I love Spy v Spy. So anyway, I think I've literally covered every aspect of the game. I'm looking at my notes right now, the traps, how to counter the traps, the controls to scroll through to see your map, how easy it is against the computer, how the levels get larger as you pick different levels, the items you need to collect to get out, the weapons you use to fight each other, the way the timers work. You can screen watch each other, and in some cases it's encouraged. The music is too repetitive. The graphics look neat. And if you don't have an instruction manual and you're trying to learn how to play it back in the day, you're probably fucked. That were all my notes. I think we've literally just covered every single thing in about 30 minutes. Not a long game, not a long episode, but you know what? Story of my life. It doesn't have to be big to be good. So I'm going to get out of here. Thanks some Patreons and wrap this episode up. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. And I have another listen to that same fucking Spy versus Spy music. And then we'll wrap this thing up and get out of here. That is going to do it for this week's episode. Me. Thank you so much for giving me a call and talking Spy versus Spy, and to every single one of you nerds listening to this, whether this was your first Remember the Game or your 294th. Thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. Listen, if you liked this, leave us a nice review, would you? I'm not sure what they do, but I created like a little video thing to play at my Calgary Expo booth this weekend, and I think I'm going to implement it into the Twitch intros on my streams, and good reviews are flashing across the screen. So if you leave us a good review, maybe I'll make your ass famous. Not famous, but infamous, whatever. Leave us a nice review if you like it. I would appreciate that. And if you want more of these, patreon.com/rememberthegame. Subscriptions start at $3 a month. There are fucking hundreds of podcasts over there, all ad-free. You can add them to any podcast service you like, including Spotify. It is brilliant. And we're always adding new episodes because that's literally all I do with my life is fucking podcasts now. I'm on Twitch whenever I have time, twitch.tv/rememberthegame. You can find me there. And I'm at the Calgary Expo this weekend, April 25th to 28th, booth 703. So come by and say hi if you're there. That would be dope. All right, I'm going to thank some Patreons and get out of here. Thank you all so much for listening. I'm very grateful. And we'll be back next week with Bradley McHugh to revisit a little game called The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Oh, yeah. We'll talk to y'all then. Take it easy. See you on the next one. Cheers. Remember, the game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all this content every week without all of your support. The following people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and as such, I am contractually obligated to say their names as quickly as possible. So in alphabetical order, a huge thank you to Remember the Game Hall of Famer Slick Motherfucking Rick. A dude named Adam, A.B. Killen, Aaron Lawson, Ace McGuy, Adam Blank Stillers Reviewed, Sly Cooper 2, Adam Don't You Dare Besmirch the Thunder God, Raiden, Adam Martinet, Adam's former assistant, A.J. McKirsey, Alex McIntyre, Alex R., Alex Ramos, Alexander Camps, Andrew Wright, Andy Hudson, Angry Ticks, Archangel Otaku, A-Town, Atrio Wormwood, Bearded Bastard, Beaver Boy, Beef Dingleberry, Beers of War, Benjamin Atkins, Big Daddy Randall, Big the Cat, Biddy, Because 19, Blaine the Hoagie Man, Blobby Rogers, B Money, Bobby Litton, Brandon DeZeba, Brian Richmond, Bula, Burt Macklin, Buy Me Bone Storm, Cam Nelly 23, Can't Destroy Her, Captain Steve N, Carbon Fiber Zombie, Cesar, Chaz Hammond, Chicken Gizzards, Chris Flurry, Chris Hill, Profits, Christian Gabriel, Christopher Britch, Chugger 22, Cody Richardson, Cody Thompson, Colin Bollinger, Confused but Still Here, Crystal Lake Management, Dazarieth, that one fucks with me. Dan Fuselman, Dan of Dissect That Film, Daniel, Darbles, Darth Skywalter, Dave McGee, Dave Thompson, David Schroeder, DBXJ, Decoy Man, Dem Boys on the Roof, Devin Collins, Diablo Spartan, Donnie the Dude Walter, Doogie, Doug Dorn, Dr. Mantis Toboggan, Drugs are bad, okay? Earl, Elephant Calves, Elijah Burns, E-Man Trucker, Eric James, Eric Hopewell, Fallen Snow Kiku, Faded Sufferance, Flinny123, Frosty Bear, Frosty F492, Fuzzy 99, General Fury, G9 PSX, Gabe, Glue Scappin, Graham Kennedy, Guy Who Does Things, Hago Waffle, High Plains Drifter, Hitchy Poo, Holmes. I canceled my Netflix to afford this shout out. Itchy Nutsuru, Mr. Inhuman Sumo, Isaias, Jake Carter, Jameer Williams, James Clark, James Don Francesco, Jeff Bergeron, Jimothy, Jay Callahan, Jay Nasty 15, Joe Buck, Joe the Sandman, John M. Watkins, John Woodruff, Johnny from Virginia, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Jordan, Juris Dr. Mario, Just a Fish, Just Car Pranks, Justin Blair, Kayach, Kevin Monroe, Kia Pup, Laces Out Dan, Legend of Zelda, The Erotic Adventures of Hercules, Leo, Leroy Westrich, Little Bine Fufu 89, Liquor Like Luigi, Lord Long Ron Von Hugendon II, Lotus, Lucas Shaman, Lucas Valadez, Madam Nutsich, Makeshift Mellow Magic Money, Marcus Mendoza, Mark Sneed, Matt Babineau, Matt Zeus, Maverick Marty, Max Lagroom, Max Sandin, Mercury 869, Mike Maloney, Mr. Jabroni, that's sweet, Mike Maloney, Mr. Jabroni, Mizuru, Monstrous the Boner, Morgan, Mr. Papa Giorgio, Musty Beetle, My Left Nut, Nathan Tremblay, Nerdy Hybrid, Nick Creature, No One Cares, Nothing Could Possibly Go Wrong, Hiroku Saki's Gardener, Pat Phoenix, Phil Lencher, Fill Up My Mouth with Farts, Plow Carrying Postman, Put It in H, Quiet Place Queen, Radioactive Man, Randy Barrage, Rated X, Ill Int, Robbie Air, Roger Stallbox Pool Cleaner, Rush's Dog Walker, Ryan Kinchin, Ryan Perry, Ryan Whitcomb, S, Sabin, Sam Carpenter, Scary Terry, Scott Brooks, Shank the Rat-Faced Bastard, Shoeboxer, Sharonic, Sleeper Hit, Solomon Soto, Son of a Diddley, Sour Goat Face, Squeak Nut, Squint, Standard Ass Brian, Steve Dalk, Storm Beagle, Stud Still Smash, Super Jess, T-Bear 87, Tadpole, Tazzlehoft, Ted the Explosion, The Keegs, The Fletchman, Theodore, The Supreme, Choserizo, Thomas Childs, Thomas Smith, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Timothy Sabrinsky, Titan 420, Toby OP, Tom Houlihan, Triple, Tunable Power, Tyler Bauer, VOS Rager, Works For Me, Wilco, Wimp 15, Wolfgang Darren, Wolf Magic 21, Would You Kindly, Wyatt the Surgeon Who's Not a Surgeon Row, X Maverick X, Yes, It's True, This Man Has No Dick, that's what I heard, Youngster TK, Zach Shepard, Zamato, Zane Donovan, Zonko 504, and Z-Train 22. That was not bad at all. I'll take it. Take it easy, everybody. Cheers. So long. Goodbye.